children of the night. What music they make. They're all gonna laugh at you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Hello, this is Final Guys calling you with episode 100. If you can believe it, we actually made it to 100 episodes. It's kind of mind-boggling to me, but it's going to be a fun one. I'm pretty pumped for this. What do you think, Jack?
I can't believe we've gotten to our 100th and final episode. Good night, everybody.
And Hunter Shea.
You know, not only did they say it couldn't be done after the first episode, they said it shouldn't be done. But
They
God
were correct.
damn it, here we are.
We
doing
are here. And we are all drinking for the first time in quite a while. What do you got there, Jack?
I have Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, which is delightful.
I do love that stuff.
Has a horse.
And your Italian wine from Italy there, Hunter?
It is a Bartoni Orvieto Classico from somewhere in Italy. And oh, that wasn't really much.
There you go.
Uncorking. It was a little something. So into the big glass it goes.
What is that, Pinot Grigio?
It's some sort of white. It's not exactly Pinot. It's all in Italian. I have no idea.
Do you have
It's
ice
good,
in that
though.
glass?
I do. I like a little ice in my white. I like my dry red wines with
We're
no
going to watch Sex in the City after this?
Maybe.
You're watering down your Italian wine from Italy.
Gonna add spritzer.
So I thought it would be funny, since we're lowbrow guys and we watch lowbrow movies on our lowbrow show, that I would buy some lowbrow beer. So I bought Natural Light, and yeah, the joke's on me. This is awful. I wish I had done it. I almost bought a really nice IPA, and now I wish I'd done that.
You know, you had yourself all set up lowbrow. You should have had Lowenbrow.
Oh.
It was right there. It was right there.
Do they make that
just
anymore?
Not that clever. I've never had it.
Let it be Lowenbrow.
All right, so we're going to do things a little different since it's the 100th episode. We're going to talk about a few movies we've seen, but then we're going to do some questions that some of you have sent us, which ought to be enlightening as to how insane our audience is. And then we're going to talk about some John Carpenter, and I'm pretty excited for that.
It's a 3-hour show, everybody.
It could, depending on how many beers I get through, it could end up being a long one.
It's going to go until we have to go, if you know what I mean.
That is correct. So
I go
let's just jump into it with a little. Oh, I haven't called it curation in a while. It almost came out.
Wait a minute. What about the drinking rules?
Drinking rules.
You know,
Whoop, whoop,
it's
whoop.
fitting that this is the 100th episode, and we are still forgetting
The
the goddamn
100th time
drink.
we forgot the drinking rules.
I have the drinking rules if you're ready.
Please save me.
Okay. If we have to take a drink every time we say these words, this is going to be long.
Our listeners have
I
to
know.
take drinks.
But we could. but we're
I'll
not
do
gonna.
it this episode.
Oh, God. All right. Get ready. Jack, yours are favorite Halloween and vampires. Mine is Last Damned and Adrian. Nice. Jason, you're Christine, Escape, and Russell.
All right.
And bonus, Live, Carpenter, and Fog.
All right. All
There's no
right.
fog bank out there.
There ain't no fog bag out there.
Not bad. I'll have to rely on the chat to let me know when to drink, because I won't be listening to anything you say as usual. So
You should put a little chime up. Ding, ding.
actually, that would be pretty funny. It would get annoying quickly. Oh,
Sure.
I want to show you guys something since you said chime. I'm not going to ring this for every drinking, but when we get to the spoilers part of the movie, the feature movie, we'll have the spoiler bell from now on.
okay.
Jack actually ran to Notre Dame and stole it, so it was saved.
Oh,
Yeah, and I used my lighter to find my way around.
Oops.
Oops.
Oh, the topical discussion. So
Did I do that?
all right, let's get these movies over with so we can get into the really embarrassing stuff. Jack, what did you watch this week?
I watched something surprisingly excellent this week. So I turn on Netflix and I stumble upon a new release called Black Summer, which is a zombie TV show. So naturally, my guard went up going, not another zombie show. But my God, there's not really any new movies I'm really dying to see. Let me just watch the first episode. I went in blind, no trailer, no nothing. Went in. I watched like 2 episodes of this, and I'm like glued to it. It was great.
Wow.
Now I know there are people who have zombie fatigue, and this is something that takes place like within the first few weeks of a zombie outbreak. They're fast zombies, and they are relentless.
No one's done that.
So there's going to be people that are be like, I've seen this before, but this show took the familiar thing and did it right, because I've never have seen a show where I felt like this is how it really would be if the zombie apocalypse happened. Because there are you follow, you're in this neighborhood and you follow a couple of people, and there's something going on in the background, and these people go on some kind of crazy ass adventure, whatever, they're getting chased or whatever. Then it goes back and you see the people that were across the street and what happened to them. You're like, oh wait, that was the guy in the background. And you'll be following characters for like a significant amount of time, and they will just die. There's no hero's death, no nothing. It's like they just get pegged, they get left behind, like they're, and people you thought were the main character get killed, and people are too slow, and like if you're out of shape, like your friends just leave you and things like that. Turns out this show is a prequel to the series Z Nation,
Oh,
which
I
I've never
watched it.
seen,
It's
but I've heard good
terrible.
things about.
Really?
However, this is nothing like in tone to this. It's a standalone thing. So I watched it and really enjoyed it. Have not seen a minute of Z Nation, and maybe I saw a minute of Z Nation, and this didn't feel anything like what I had seen there. So as a standalone thing, I really enjoyed it. It's only eight episodes, and they range from 40 minutes to like 25 minutes. So it banged through it. Jamie King is the most recognizable person in it,
Ooh.
and she's awesome. And
Hmm.
I just telling you, I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for something fun zombie, like I said, maybe it's not the most original thing, but I just felt it was really well done. So I'd love for one of you guys to see it, and we can see, exchange notes.
Yeah, you said about making it a featured thing at some point. Maybe we should. I mean, it sounds pretty spectacular for a zombie thing, anyways.
Yeah, I loved the way you just never knew who was going to live, who was going to, and you know how like headshots, you always get pissed off at how people are just nailing headshots. These people will unload a gun and still not hit the head, and the thing is coming at them.
Oh, they're future stormtroopers.
Yeah, but that's the way it would be.
It's called realistic. Yeah.
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 I have a man friend editor who told me to watch it, and he's like, he shits on everything. So I was like, all right, this has to be good.
Man friend editor. All right.
Man friend editor. It's kind of like a Gal Friday.
So when your man friend editor was telling you to watch this, what were you telling him that you watched this week? Transition.
Oh, I like that. I told him, you know what you should watch? You should watch Project Blue Book on the History Channel. Which, Jason, did you watch this at all yet?
No, I think you mentioned it a couple weeks ago and said I'd like it though.
Yeah, you're a UFO guy.
Yeah,
So it is the story of J. Allen Hynek, who was an astrophysicist who was actually worked on Project Blue Book, the real Project Blue Book back in the day. And during his investigations, he flipped to the other side and said UFOs are actual craft being flown by something not of this earth. He became like the vanguard for ufology for a long time. I went in thinking, oh, I'm going to see, J. Allen Hynek. I'm going to see this process. It's the X-Files using J. Allen Hynek as a character with a larger than life plot going on here, but more focused than the X-Files. Allen Hynek is played by Aidan Gillen, who you all know as Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. And he's aided by Mike Malarkey, who's Captain Michael Quinn, who's a pilot. And what they do in every episode, they investigate a case, an actual Blue Book case, but it's TV, so it's over dramatized. There's like Hynek's wife is being courted by a hot Russian woman who's
Very
undercover. Hot. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. So, and it's really well done. It's sometimes there are some spooky episodes. The drama is really cool. I just kept going, oh, but I want to see like real things that went on here, not like imagined things. It's like, making Captain Nemo fight, people in the Old West.
All
But
right.
Gillen is so damn good. The writing actually is very good. The production value is so high. I couldn't believe this is a History Channel show. It's really worth a watch. It's 10 episodes, about 40 something minutes a piece.
Is
I dug it.
Already on a streaming service?
It is.
Okay.
And the last episode ended on a cliffhanger, and I was like, what? It was like the best 5 minutes of the entire series. And it's been renewed, so it's coming back.
All right. I need to check
Yeah.
this out.
I finished that show a few weeks ago. I enjoyed it. It was
Yeah.
It's DVR it if you have regular TV. It's a good DVR it, and just on the weekend you're like, oh, I got a Project Blue Book. I'll bang one of those out. And Littlefinger is awesome. That guy goes from, you watch him in The Wire, then on Game of Thrones, and then this, and he's completely different in each one.
Yeah. I had to just take my UFO geek hat off and just like, dude, just enjoy it for the show. And when you're done with that show, if you're all like wound up, watch Project Blue Balls on Playboy Network.
Now, Project Blue Book was originally a show in the 70s or early 80s.
Yes.
On like NBC.
Which I wondered if it was going to be like a rehash of that. It totally isn't.
Yeah.
All right. Lovely. I've never seen either one. So I'm going to have to check the new one out anyway.
Educate yourself, son.
Yeah, I don't have time for that old shit. I don't watch old stuff. Are you kidding me?
You're watching two old people right now.
All right. So I found this movie called The Headhunter. I'd never heard of it. It just struck me as interesting, and the fact that it was 72 minutes long. So I'm thinking, okay,
nice.
Man. It's about a warrior, a medieval warrior, living out in a freaking cabin or a mill or something all by himself, and he goes out and kills monsters. And you find out that his daughter was killed, and now he is going out trying to find that monster to kill it. And that's the whole movie. There are two actors in it. One of them's in it for maybe 45 seconds. The other is just this dude by himself. It was made. It looked like $1 million. I mean, it looked fantastic. But when I researched the movie, I saw it was made for $30,000.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, and I'm guessing
pocket change.
Yeah, but when you watch it, I don't know who shot this movie. It is gorgeous. I cannot believe it was made for $30,000. It's unbelievable. Then I find out it was directed by the guy who did Thanksgiving 1 and 3.
Get out of here.
So apparently he is trying to make a switch to doing, I guess, more highbrow stuff. So what this felt like to me is a guy who's trying to show that he can do real things. And he had a small budget.
I don't blame him.
I mean, this is how you get money. If I had money to throw at a movie project, I would give it to him after watching this. The $30,000 shows in some of the stuff, not because effects look bad, but just because they're very sparse. You don't see a whole lot of anything he's fighting most of the movie. It's just kind of. By
the way, Thanksgiving budget was $3,500.
Well, I would say this looks a little more than 10 times better than that did.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
So this is a great movie for me because I like seeing these guys when they're kind of on the rise, and I like seeing what people can do with small budgets and things like that. And so I don't know if this is maybe going to be so much normie approved because you're not seeing him fight ogres and shit. You know, you're more seeing the aftermath and the build up of it. But I thought it was great, and if you can see this, if it comes on Prime or Netflix or something, it is 100% worth a watch.
I saw the trailer for this, and it looked like they had taken some deleted scenes from Mandy because he's like in this crazy ass Viking costume that looks like black Cenobite armor.
Yep.
So it definitely looks like worth a look.
Yeah, it was really cool. I dug the hell out of it. I was super impressed. So, Jack, what else you got?
I went back to the 1970s vampire well and found a gem. Grave of the Vampire from 1972. This is a movie.
On a kick.
Oh yeah, this movie. I'm really glad I watched this because while I was watching it, there were several scenes that I'm like, I saw this movie when I was really young, and there was certain scenes with fang-bearing people that like kind of were scary back when I was like 8 or whatever. That watching it now, I'm like, wow, this movie is really low budget and poorly acted, but The great thing about this movie is Blade can thank this movie for its whole premise. Basically, it starts off with a woman and a guy go to a graveyard to hook up, and they happen to hook up next to the grave of a vampire.
Of course.
And the vampire gets up, kills the guy, chucks the girl in the grave, and rapes her.
Oh,
Then
Happens
she has
all
a
the time.
baby. She has a baby. Then eventually she passes away, and we fast forward to the baby's now grown up and has tracked down the vampire who's now teaching at a local college at night school, of course. And his plan is to try and take down this vampire in the slowest, least thought out way possible. But the vampire guy is like it's another one of those movies where people just talk about vampires. Oh, you mean vampires? Like vampires just a thing. And it really takes its time. Like the filmmaker just like there's a scene where they sit down in the living room to have some wine, and the guy like sits down, takes a glass, pours the wine, puts it down, takes the other glass, pours. Like it's just the whole there's the
Speed
pace
it
of
up.
yeah, you're like, come on. So it was very fun to revisit this movie and check it out. And I'm like, oh, so this guy's like Blade. He's like half vampire, but without any of the swagger that was.
Do you have a Chris Christopherson helping him out?
He could have used a Chris Christopherson. This whole movie could have used a Chris Christopherson.
What movie can't?
Yeah. So this is a very, very bargain bin vampire, but a vampire movie. But I had a blast watching it. So
I've never heard of this. It sounds boring as hell.
it's on Prime, and it looks like they got like the oldest videotape from somebody's basement and put it in a VCR with bad tracking. That's
Scotch taping the tape.
Amazon Prime is kind of famous for getting some of the stuff they get is just the
They don't
quality.
care.
Well, that's the people that don't own the rights to the movie trying to make a couple bucks off it when they find their old VHS tape in the closet.
Yeah.
And
More
they know
power to 'em.
whoever made this movie doesn't give a shit. They're probably dead, so nobody even knows who owns the rights.
Or too ashamed to admit they made it.
Hunter.
All right. I have a book that is not a bargain bin book. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Matt Serafini.
I have. I think I've talked to you about one of his books before.
Yeah. He's written for, I think, Fangoria in the past and a few other big horror mags. He's a really good writer. He's a friend of Adam Caesar, Jack. So that's how we kind of know him. So his latest book is Rites of Extinction, which as soon as I saw the write-up on it, I said, I have to grab this, and downloaded it. And I read it toot sweet in about 2 days. Basically, this book is dark, man. This is it's all centers on this woman. She's a private eye her life has just spiraled out of control since her daughter was murdered. And her whole life's purpose is to hunt for the guy who killed her daughter, which was her daughter's boyfriend. And she's on the trail searching for this guy, and she ends up in this little town in New Hampshire. This goes from it's the typical revenge. I'm going to find this guy and I'm going to put a gun in his mouth and kill him, to like Clive Barker type places of just high weirdness and bizarre rituals.
All right.
There are some scenes in here that are so graphic. I was like, holy cow. I might have to Purell my hand when I shake his hand next time. No, actually, I was impressed. The grosser you can get, the better. If you can write scenes that make me wince, then you're doing it. But
and you wrote Swamp Monster Massacre, so you know.
I also read aloud The Leprechaun Who Loved Oral, and I didn't even flinch. I think sometimes at points in this, the writing is almost, it's near poetic. And the best part is it's near poetic, but it is dark and dirty at times. I'm telling you, this novel took me by surprise. You don't read many like this.
Rites of Extinction.
Yeah, and it's relatively short. I even think it says it on the Amazon thing, like a short novel. But check it out. Matt he's good. And check out his other book, Feral, when you get a chance.
Okay. Yeah, oh no, I put the wrong link in the YouTube thing. I'll have to fix that. It goes to that In Search of Nobility, Texas link from last week. I need to fix that.
Oh yeah, there we go. We need more publicity for the Texas Wild Man of Nobility.
Not quite the same thing. All right, I'll check that
Little
book out.
different.
That sounds like it's up my alley. I'm almost done with my current one. So. All right, I watched a movie called Escape Room. Came out in January, something like that.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
remember the trailers? The people go into an escape room and find out it's real and they're going to get killed.
I wanted to see it, but then I didn't.
I was the
So
same
let me
way. I
know.
thought it looked fun, and I just never got to theater to see it.
Isn't the redhead from True Blood in that?
I don't really remember much of True Blood, but the
She's from Daredevil.
Daredevil, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, she's in
The
it. She's
secretary.
great. This movie has a great premise. I loved the first half to 3/4. It starts with a bang, and I'm watching it thinking, this is really, really good. And it just kind of peters throughout the movie. Not terribly so, but the end feels like they reshot it or it was tacked on. It feels very, I don't want to say glossy, but ridiculous. And it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie very well. Obviously, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, everyone in the chat, guess what? I didn't like the ending. It happens more often than I'd like to admit, but it was still fun. It was, like I said, it's a great premise. I dug the movie. It was well made. The end really didn't leave me super excited for any sequel opportunities, which apparently they're filming one. So we'll see. But it's a fun movie. It's the kind of thing I would have really liked to have seen in high school. You know, get out on a Friday night, take a girl to. It would have been a good one. So
This is one my wife and I want to watch one night on demand. We just saw it popped up this weekend.
It's decent. I'd be curious to hear what you thought.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it, definitely.
Alrighty. You want to jump into some questions and stuff?
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely.
Well, we should start with we had no idea how to do the book giveaway. So
True,
you
we
had
didn't.
some ideas. What do you think?
Yeah, so what we've come up with,
If you go by any dumpster at any bookstore, you'll probably find some of your guys' books down at the bottom.
I have to tell you, sometimes when I go to dollar stores and I see books, I go, oh, I hope it's not there.
I always check the pile beside the shredder for mine.
So what we've decided to do, I have books to give away. I have print books, ebooks. Jason, what are you giving away? Kind of a mix?
Sure,
Or?
both. I can do both.
All right. And we've got people like Sheridan Bradford with his new book, Pam Morris with her book, and we're going to have a bunch of books to give away. So here's how you win. What you have to do is when we publish this episode, Jason loads it up on the Final Guys page. So you're going to see a little link on there. You share that link on Twitter with the hashtag FG, as in Final Guys 100. And then you're in the pool to win a free book, and we will reach out to you and get a book over. So share it on Twitter, hashtag FG100. You're in.
Works for me. Sounds good. I didn't have time to give thought into this like I wanted because I went to what the hell's the name of the town? Katanning, Pennsylvania, where they shot My Bloody Valentine, The Bridge,
That's right.
and Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah.
So I went there and got to get some pictures of the bridge, walk around the town. Really nice, picturesque town, actually. I can see why they like to shoot movies there.
That's tremendous.
But I'm walking along the river that obviously goes under the bridge, and some assholes running the city, I don't know who you are, but there was 2 inches of rebar sticking up out of the middle of the sidewalk that was painted the same color as the sidewalk, so I couldn't see it. I was wearing sandals, so I got some very nice gashes from rusty metal on my feet.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to deal with that, and then I had to go get a tetanus shot and all this other bullshit.
You had a bloody Valentine.
Yeah, so
Sure did.
So I'm in the sheets down the road with my foot in the sink. People were trying to wash their hands beside me. I just got blood pouring down into the sink. So fun weekend. Got to spend a lot of time worrying about Final Guys.
Did you go to that
I'm
bar
sure.
with the moose head sign?
No, I think, isn't that in Vancouver or wherever the hell?
I don't know.
Oh, something like that.
We just assume everyone drinks Moosehead in the town of My Bloody Valentine.
Yes. So I got to see some of the sites. I didn't get to go. I wanted to go to the mine and everything, but once I sliced up my foot, I couldn't do that. So
Because you can tour the mine, right?
I don't know if it's still open or not. I have no idea, but I'm
Oh, no, they
assuming
said
it's
they
still
open
there.
it for tours around Halloween.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
Yeah.
I'll go around Halloween.
We should go during the Mothman Festival to West Virginia and then just go over there and wait for like a few weeks. Just hang.
Okay, let's do
nothing.
that. That sounds like
We'll
great...
sign books outside the Mercantile.
Oh, we'll probably sell 2 or 3 easy.
Yeah. A week.
Alrighty, so you want to take the first question? You're looking on Twitter. I'm looking on Facebook.
Sure.
I guess.
All right, are we ready? Here we go. This one's from Jim Herbert, our favorite animator of all time. Your affection for 80s slashers is well documented. I'd like to see you guys discuss the possibility that no filmmaker, not Carpenter, not Craven, not even Romero, revolutionized the film-going experience as much as Tom Savini's special makeup effects innovations. Whoa.
I saw this because I noticed later he pointed out that this wasn't actually a question.
But it's a great idea.
It's a good point. There's an argument to be made there. I don't know how much it's close. I'll give him that. I mean, I would see movies because I knew Tom Savini had done the effects. You know, without knowing anything else about the movie. That's how into it I was. So
Fangoria magazine can thank Tom Savini for pretty much every one of their covers.
Yeah,
that's true.
Totally. You know, when I saw Dawn of the Dead and when they were tearing up the bikers, for me, that was life-changing. I thought I was actually watching death.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, it can't look that real. I remember telling my friends, they really kill people in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, you just gotta go watch Maniac.
He's a game changer. I mean, there are certain movies you could point to as like, oh, this, like Scream was the start of the self-aware horror movies. The Blair Witch Project was the start of found footage movies. So there's certain landmarks like that. Quentin Tarantino changed the movie industry. But Savini, as far as special effects go, you could all 80s horror like built, was built upon his shoulders, and Greg Nicotero and all those guys worked with him and then went on to other stuff,
Yeah, what set him apart was he was a Vietnam photographer. So he photographed dead bodies all the time, dead and dying people. So he knew, like I've heard him say, I know what it looks like. I know what it smells like. And he just brought a realism to cinema that just changed. It was a huge game changer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his work really did define the 80s as far as the gore you would see in these movies. So that's a valid point, Jim.
You could, it's hard to say, you talk about like a Mount Rushmore and you're limited to whatever 4 faces. But really, if you wanted to talk about most influential people in the horror industry, he's in the conversation because he's that big of a figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a solid point, not a question, but a good point.
All right.
Thanks for the question, Herbert.
All right. You want to go through yours and then I'll do mine?
This is a quick one.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's just do all yours. I don't care.
From Kev Doe, favorite cheese?
Any cheese that's on a piece of sausage pizza.
Kraft singles with the plastic still on. I have no idea.
Melted
the green cheese that the moon is made out of.
I gotta tell you, I used to love grilled brie cheese with barbecue ketchup sandwiches.
You are.
It's kind of fancy, right?
It is fancy. I do like.
Get her done.
I mean, I guess I like a ton of different cheese. It just depends on what the application is. So I don't know. I'm not an aficionado though.
All right, here we go. Here's another one.
Hunter's books are my favorite cheese.
Nice. From under. This is Dave. He is at Pulpa author. No, pulp author. Keep drinking. All right. I'm going to expand this a little bit. Final guys, I'm a middle-aged guy who always wanted to be a writer, but fell into another good career. I like how you single that out. I want to hear Hunter, and I'm adding Jason's story as an author. Jason, how did you fall into this insanity?
I'm going to go take a leak.
2 weeks or less.
I'll keep it short. I had a government job doing digital forensics out of college. I wanted to do filmmaking of some kind or screenwriting, but I got a really good paying job, much like he was kind of describing happened to him. And I ended up doing that for, 6 or 7 years. I got horribly burned out. A lot of very bad things happened during my employ with the government. And I quit outright before I even knew I wanted to be a writer, and ended up discovering that as a way of telling the stories I wanted to tell out of college. And that's really how I'm here. I quit my old job, and hold
on, Goose.
Hold the wedding.
Hold on, Goose. You've left out the part about when you were a fighter pilot, because I can see you're wearing a Top Gun hat.
That's all
So-
classified. For the love of
Oh,
God, dude.
That's
Okay.
why
I wanted
he
to
had
hear
to
about-
leave.
I wanted to hear about your adventures on the highway to the danger zone, but go ahead.
My adventures were in a small office that was very hot from computer servers and me swearing and yelling at people I worked with. So
Yeah.
So
Welcome to
that's
work.
pretty much it. I found out about kind of the Kindle revolution and not having to go through publishers, so I knew I could kind of skip the line that every writer had to do of submitting and submitting and submitting. I knew I could just go straight to customers and start making money, and that's what I did. And it's been probably 7 years now, and I'm not working yet, so still
Yeah,
here.
well, not all of us can do gay porn on the side.
Hey, it pays well.
It does pay more.
I know I'm having trouble keeping up. I have to budget my Blu-ray purchases.
Well, I'm similar, and a crap job is kind of what inspired me to do it, because I was working for the freaking phone company, hated it, and a friend of mine was sitting next to me during downtime writing a book, and he kind of got me going, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote. I did the opposite of Jason, where I wrote and submitted, rejected, submitted, rejected, and then when Don Diora was at Leisure, I read every Leisure book there was, wrote a book that I thought I would love and that would fit right in, and sent it only to him, and just sat for 2 years and waited.
Oh,
And
God.
it took almost 4 years from submitting to actually getting a book deal.
Oh, God,
but-
that's my hell.
That moment, though, when that happened, after doing all that work and getting that, it's indescribable. The only thing bigger is my wedding and the birth of my 2 children. That's it.
That's a lot of work to get an accomplishment at the, a big payoff at the end of that. That's a lot.
It was crazy ass work, but hey, it was worth it. You know?
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, once you're in.
That's
Until you lose money.
it's kind of the way. Obviously, I don't deal with publishers, but it's the same way with my readers. Once you get, X amount, you're going to be okay. You'll always be able to have somebody reading your stuff. So
Right. Even your mom, maybe.
Mine bows out.
Mine reads everyone, which sometimes I don't want her to, but whatever.
All right.
All right, Jason, why don't you go with some of yours?
Self-indulgent author talk. I could hear this all night.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I remember the time I discovered commas.
They are in my pews.
Hey, man, I am not letting go of the Oxford comma. Let's not go down that path. All right. Is it Basil Graham?
Basil.
Basil?
I like basil.
I'm going to go with basil because that sounds like something I put on some
That's a
food.
spice.
Something you put on pizza. Going back to the cheese.
1971's Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Has anybody seen or revisited this forgotten gem?
Can I go first, please?
Yes.
When Jackie was a little boy, this movie was left on. My dad and I went down. He had a fire going. He had Let's Scare Jessica to Death, Scared Jessica to Death on the TV. And then he went upstairs to get some snacks or something. And I'm there by myself watching this movie. It scared the hell out of me. I saw it years later and I was like, wow, this scared me. But I was really, really young when I saw this movie. Now, recently, Shudder said that it was coming on Shudder. And every time I check Shudder, it does not show up for me. So if it's on Shudder, I cannot access it, and I will not pull the trigger on paying $3.99 to watch it because I know the day after I do that, it's going to show up on Shudder.
And it's gotten the Blu-ray treatment, I do believe, which would be weird.
What's
I've only seen it looking terrible.
What's your experience with the movie?
I didn't see it till later in life and was like, okay. That was worth 3 naps, 3 cat naps worth. It's not good.
I saw it the same. I was in my 30s. It was, it's one of those titles everybody says you need to see. So I finally got around to watching it. I'm like, what am I seeing? This is
What year is that movie?
71.
Yeah, so I probably saw it I was really, really, really young when I saw this movie.
It's definitely one of those that people have a nostalgic feel for, and I totally get it. The problem is I saw it way too late in life to have that feeling. So I get why people like it, but I was not happy. And it is on Shudder. I just checked the website. It's there.
That's weird. When I go on, I have it through my Amazon box, and it does not give me Shudder. And when I surf Shudder, Ugh.
Yeah, I don't
I-
like I don't like Amazon's interface with it. I use the app on my Amazon Fire Stick now, and I can
Somebody-
find stuff much better.
Somebody wrote in the chat that it's on YouTube.
Oh,
Maybe I'll fire that up.
That's probably the best way to watch it. Faux free and looking like crap.
next question.
Next question. Where is my wine?
Okay, I'll ask my next question while you
There's
find
none in here. Go ahead.
it. Wow, that's a shockingly beautiful woman. She asks, "When are you getting Joe Bob on the show?"
When I get enough chloroform.
That's my wife asking that. I actually have a plan to get him on the show, and I think I might be able to do it this fall. We'll see, but I'm gonna try to get a hold of him at Scares the Care this year. I'm gonna corner him. There might be some fists, but I think I might be able to get him on. We'll see. He's been doing podcasts lately, so we might be able to swing it. I'll do it.
That would be unbelievable.
I think calling back from earlier, we're lowbrow enough.
I'll promise him. What does he drink? Lone Star or Old Milwaukee or whatever?
Some kind of Texas beer. It's
I
not
love Lone Star.
I do too, man.
Oh, maybe what's it called? Shinerbach.
Shinerbach.
Yeah. I'm drinking Natural Light. Bring it on. It all tastes the same when you're getting this low end on the scale. So
Meister Brow is next.
Maybe this fall. I don't know. I'm promising something that's not going to happen, but we'll see what happens. All right, you go ahead.
Oh, I go. Okay, here's one. Here we go. Favorite horror magazines, digital or print? And he gave examples: Horror Hound, Rue Morgue, Famous Monsters, or other. This is from John Kilgallen.
I'll go first because mine's easy. I never got into the horror magazine thing. I was too poor. I mean, I was in freaking high school when Fangoria was at its real peak. So I never got into it, and then by the time I would have been interested in it, it kind of died. But I'm looking forward to maybe. I'm thinking about subscribing now that it's back. I hear it's really great. But,
Oh, the new Fango, yeah.
So I don't have one because I never got into it.
It's like $25 an issue or
Yeah,
something.
Hunter calls it Fango because he's an insider.
Fango.
Yeah, Fango.
What about you, Jack? I know what yours probably was. As a
I'm
young
gonna
man.
give a shout out to Dark Dossier magazine, our buddy.
That's
Jamie
right.
Evans. Let's give everybody go to Dark Dossier and buy some magazines from our boy.
By the issue where I did the Montauk Monster article, and my daughter got her first credit as an artist.
Or read the one where I do a tribute to Kolchak.
Either one, can't lose.
When I was a kid, Fangoria and Starlog magazine were the two magazines I loved, but I didn't subscribe to either one. I would just go to the newsstand and look at them and then put them back.
Put that down, Jack.
I subscribed to a magazine back in the 90s called Cinescape that was kind of sci-fi and horror.
Yep.
Not a huge horror magazine person. I guess I'm still newsstand, but every once in a while I'll buy Horror Hound or Famous Monsters, or I love Famous Monster covers more than I actually collected them, anything like that. So I'm more of a website person. I have a lot of horror websites I go to rather than magazines.
Well, growing up, I was all about Famous Monsters. That was from the 70s probably to the early 80s. That was my Bible. Doug Fangoria, once I got into gore and all that crap, all the covers and stuff, there was all over my walls. It looked like a abattoir in my room. But then I got into Cemetery Dance, because to me, Cemetery Dance is still the best literary horror fiction magazine that's probably ever been produced. Closest might be Twilight Zone magazine, but Cemetery Dance is all horror. But for my money now, I never miss an issue of Rue Morgue magazine for a very particular reason, because they actually review books. Most horror magazines don't give, two shits about books. They actually give really good reviews on usually a half a dozen books an issue. You get stuff on new issues of Blu-rays and DVDs, new movies, some great columns. To me, they're at the top of the game.
I actually have never read a single issue of Rue Morgue.
Oh, I love it. From Canada.
I didn't know that's where it was from.
Just reaching into my cooler here for my second and last.
I literally drank this bit of wine. I'm going to need more. So we're going to have a question. Put on Anna Gata Devita or something.
Using my Jason
We've got matching.
Bottle opener. This won't be as good a sound.
Not bad. Not bad. All right. Let's see. This is maybe the ugliest man I've seen. He asks Brian
Is this
Johnson.
your brother?
It's my brother. He's asked Brian Johnson or Bon Scott. So,
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson all day. I
'Cause,
love Bon
Johnson.
Scott, but it's not close.
Back in Black is their masterpiece.
Exactly.
How do you come out with that album like less than a year after your lead singer dies?
You want money and you're on cocaine. I don't know.
But that's astounding.
And
That
it's
is
the best.
absolutely
It's maybe my favorite album ever. So there you go.
Yeah.
He actually asked a couple, so I just blast through them quick. Bourbon or beer? Beer, because bourbon gets me in trouble.
Beer.
I sort of have a combination going here.
You do.
Depends
is
on depends on the beer or bourbon available to me and my mood.
That's true too. Why aren't you watching Freddy vs. Jason or the remake of Friday the 13th? That's obviously aimed at me. We are going to watch Freddy vs. Jason. We're just waiting till we watch the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which we're starting this week. So probably, 4 weeks or so, I'll get to it.
I love that movie.
We will watch the remake of Friday as well. And
Oh, you got to watch that. It has the best looking women of any Friday the 13th movie.
you
Good D.
take the question till the dogs stop.
All right. I will do the next question. Here's one. 3 questions from Joaquim Oliveira. I hope I said his name right. Favorite book that you've read? Jack, if you don't say one of my books, so help me God, I'm going to pull your pubes out.
I would have to say Sinister Entity by Hunter Shea.
Oh, yeah. You picked the one I dedicated to.
Swamp
And you helped
Monster
me with.
Massacre.
I'm going to say... No, seriously, my favorite Jason book is probably the first in the Hunger series, which I can't remember the name.
Oh, me? I thought you were talking like Friday the 13th book.
No. I'm thinking my favorite book that you wrote
Who
is
gives
the
a shit
first.
about my stuff? What's your
Only
favorite
because
book?
it hooked me. My favorite book is probably Boy's Life by Robert McCammon.
It's a good book.
Hands down.
Mine is It by Stephen King.
You fucking pedophile.
I've read it 3 times. I'm going to start it the 4th time probably by the end of the year.
This could end our relationship, this whole It thing.
It could.
So
It is between us. I could never love you wholly.
it is so thick that I will never read it. But ironically though, it's not horror, but my favorite thing I ever read is The Lord of the Rings. So that's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So that's
Yeah, that's not small.
But I also read it like when I was like in junior high school and right in the Dungeons and Dragons phase of my life. So
all right, here's one. This is a 3-part question. Favorite 90s movie? Jesus Christ, what happened?
Horror movie?
I had kids.
If it's a 90s horror movie, I can tell you right now, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that's
Army
tough.
of Darkness is 90s.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense is 90s. That's great.
I probably should have looked at some of these questions first so I could have actual answers.
God. How about the Blair Witch Project?
Blair Witch is in there.
Yep.
Which wouldn't be mine, but
My Jam Demon Night is in there.
7.
You know what?
7.
My favorite is probably From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's my favorite Selma Hayek movie. From the
That
90s.
introduced Salma Hayek to my life, and she's been a part of it ever since.
When did Body Bags come out? The 90s.
That's probably the 90s.
Arachnophobia was 90s.
Yeah.
Scream. The first Scream is amazing.
Yeah.
It ruined the entire genre for like a decade, but it's an amazing movie.
Sure did.
It introduced us to Rose McGowan. Hell.
All right.
Yeah,
There's a bunch.
Yeah, a ton. Wait,
what was Event Horizon had to be 90s.
Yeah, it's like 97 maybe.
That's a great movie. Mine is still From Dusk Till Dawn.
People shit on horror from the 90s because of what Scream did to it, but there was some killer stuff in the 90s before.
There was. I was just getting overwhelmed by the crap. Favorite podcast that you're currently listening to?
Again, horror.
Give me a horror and a non-horror.
I'll give you a few horror. Postmortem with
Favorite.
Nick Garris.
Didn't say favorites.
I'm saying favorites.
By the way, I'm having trouble.
It is my podcast, and I didn't have the time to talk about my Arthur story.
It won't download his podcast on my iTunes player. I don't know what's going on.
Because you're an idiot.
Whatever.
You can't have Instagram on your phone because you're
I have no room. I no longer have Twitter on it either. I'm down to phone and texting.
My rotary phone doesn't get Snapchat.
I'm waiting for my jitterbug to come in the mail.
A Bloody Good Horror is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
The Witching Hour is a nice little horror thing on the Collider network. I like this guy's the science fiction film podcast. They're good. They do more than just they do horror movies, and they just did The Witch. It's great. There's the guys who do the horror movie podcast. I love those guys. They're really good.
God damn, you listen to a lot of podcasts.
That's a good list.
I do, because I don't waste my time reading your books.
Smart man.
The only horror podcast I listen to is Shockwaves.
Shockwaves is a good one too.
I'm weekly on that one. That's about it.
I like Shockwaves a lot. Sometimes I see it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Jesus, I could listen to Joe Rogan if I want this. But I do love that
Joe
podcast.
Rogan.
That's a great podcast. I'm like you, Jack. I don't think I've missed an episode of Bloody Good Horror since maybe episode 100.
I only listen to them if I've seen the movie though, because they spoil movies.
I listen to everything. You know what? That's the beauty. They spoil it and I forget. So that's good. And favorite podcast overall is Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast. That lifts me up every freaking time I listen to it.
How Did This Get Made is one of my favorite podcasts.
You turn me on to that, I'm starting to really love that one too.
Wow. Okay, we're giving people a lot of shit.
Anything but us.
Is that the last part of that question?
That's it.
Okay. Before the dogs went nuts, which is a staple of our show. Episode 100 still happens. Let's see. My brother had one more question. How often do you and Hunter do tubby time?
Ugh.
I haven't
Not
done
as
it
much
yet,
as I prefer.
but you guys send me the pictures of your post Monster Men sessions, so I appreciate
here comes a Jim Herbert moment.
Yeah, once he got the new hot water heater, tubby time got much better.
I mean, there's Dream Tubby Time. We just haven't.
So then,
finished it.
Jay Oliveira, who's in the chat
Oliveira?
quite a bit. I'm terrible with names, but he has a couple. I'll hit rapid fire here. Best podcast for a horror fan. We just answered that, I guess. Best advice for a horror writer. My advice would be to two pieces: read a lot and write a lot. That's really the only way you're going to do it. You've got to sit your ass in a chair and write, and you should read a lot to see what you like and what works.
And you should love the genre, because if you don't,
you're not going to make money at it if you're. It's not like erotica.
Jason, when we first met, I listened to a podcast that you were on where they interviewed you about self-publishing.
Okay.
And it was very interesting. So that sounds like something that somebody, that's not to get started writing, but that sounds like something who is writing should probably look into too.
I have no idea what podcast that was, but I'm sure I was riveting to listen to.
Totally. Totes.
Best 90s movie. We just answered that. And he has one more here. Thoughts about AHS season 1. What's that? American Horror Story? I said that was one of the best horror TV shows he's seen in a while that season. I loved season 1. I thought it was amazing. It had me so pumped for the rest of the show. And I think I finished season 2 and I just can't do the rest. I always start it and then I just bail after 2 episodes or so.
Season 1 was the best probably season of any horror show I've ever seen. And I watched all of 2, all of 3, some of 4, some of 5. And I said, why am I doing this to myself? I hate myself. so I punched out a long time ago. That's like, I'm done.
I really like season 1. I would not put it on a pedestal like you did and say it's the best ever. Haunting of Hill House was better. There's a hell of a lot more better series than that, but it was very good. It's the only season I give a rip about, because just like you guys, I watch up to 5 episodes and then I bail and I don't even give it a chance anymore. So
Bates Motel is still my favorite.
Yeah, Bates Motel is way better than that.
All right, you're up.
All right, here's the one from the cult leader, Pam.
Yes.
How did y'all meet?
How did you guys meet?
Jack, you want to take it?
Hunter and I got a job at a company and Hunter worked there. And part of my onboarding was to meet with different people from different departments. And Hunter had this office called the Fishbowl that was in the middle of the office.
I hated that office.
With
They gave it
windows.
away.
And I had to go in there and hear about what his department did and everything. And I sat down and he had a Spider-Man bobblehead doll on his desk. So as he was going through the thing, I was like, "Oh, you like Spider-Man?" And I just mentioned that I had the Spider-Man album when I was a kid, and he goes, "I had that album," and thus became the start of a beautiful friendship.
Freaking blew me away. You're the only person I've ever met who had that album.
And we went for perfect strangers to like blood brothers in 5 seconds. Like I
Fighting.
walked in strangers and walked out like, oh my God, this guy's like my brother from another mother. It was because then we started talking about horror movies and everything, and we're just like, yeah, Kolchak. Oh my God, that was my favorite show. And,
Yeah, it's crazy.
and then
it's
we
like-
would go on business trips together and skip the business and just go smoke cigars and drink at the local bar down the street.
Yeah, it's like we share fathers, but yeah, your mother was an upstanding citizen, and mine did barbiturates and smoked while she was pregnant with me.
So you went from total strangers to Tubby Time day one. That's
Pretty much.
Totally. And then we would go out to the bar and stuff, and just we started talking. That's how Monster Men started. Was we were like, man, we should just do a show like what we're doing now. We're at the bar, just talking about horror nonsense. And
I was doing some video podcast stuff with a marketing guy, so I had the knack for doing video podcast stuff. So when he started getting books published, I was like, hey, if you want to do something, I've been doing this for my friend Stan. If you want, we can do something with you. I love doing this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And here we are. How many years later?
By the way, it'll be 8 years this summer.
Jesus.
That's
Wow.
crazy. Now, I can't remember, Jason, which one of us connected with you online, because we've never met you.
Yeah,
in
I
person.
think people would be surprised, but we've never met. You guys have no idea how much of a beefcake is over here all the time. But
I have a lot of thoughts about how much you are.
I have no idea. I might have commented on one of your Monster Men YouTube videos or on Twitter. I feel like it was something like that. I don't really remember. But
You have no idea. From the waist down, I have the Winnie the Pooh legs like Deadpool.
All I know is everything solidified for me with you when I did your first drinking with Jason, when it was me and you.
we got pretty drunk on that. Yeah.
And I was like, this mother effer is one cool dude.
Yeah,
It's
but
true.
we had
was
him as we had you on it. We had you on as a guest for Monster Man, and there was clear chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even remember how that came about either. I think we were just talking on Twitter or something. That was pretty much it. So, but we all have similar tastes, so it makes it
So
easy.
like all people in college, we experimented first and now we're together.
That's right.
It's stuck.
Was that the end of your question?
Well, it was a quick question, so yes.
Okay. The drinking rules aficionado and the guy who's getting pretty damn good at photoshopping our Final Guys logo onto things.
Sure is.
Yeah, that was really good.
Sheridan Bradford, who just had a book come out this week. Everybody should check it out. We've been linking it all over the place. Sure, it's super wordy and graphic and hilarious. So I haven't read it yet, but I already bought it. He asked me,
I did too.
who was your real life inspiration for Karen the Whore? That's from my West of Hell series. Karen
Don't
the Whore.
say your wife.
I actually no. We have really good friends that live by us that we go on vacations with, and her name is Karen. And I always give her shit. So I told her I was going to name a character after her in a book, and I named her Karen the Whore. So that's literally
Awesome
the
dick
inspiration.
move.
Yeah. He asks you, are you going to do Swamp Monster Massacre 2?
No.
Why?
But however, I do Clash of the Cryptids on Patreon, and Rooster is in that book. He's some big
nice.
characters. So Rooster has been alive for the last year and change.
Hey, I
In that
died
book.
in Swamp Monster Massacre. I love that book.
All I know is Clash of the Cryptids. I checked recently. I'm on like page 380 in that book. It's coming out weekly. So
That's your Patreon one?
yeah, I write a few chapters and we do a poll. People tell me where to go next, and we take it from there.
I'll tell you,
Nice.
go straight to hell.
I'm in hell.
Jack, he asks you, do you wear Freddy socks on your hands at family gatherings?
You mean like this? I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Please tell me you didn't see that question ahead of time.
I did see that question. ahead of time.
Oh, it would have been better if you didn't.
That would have been the greatest thing ever. It's just like, what?
Yeah, I got
wear it
Freddy
when I
text.
touched myself.
So the answer is yes. Actually, these were a Christmas present from my nephew Dylan, who's the man. And yes, I do wear stockings on my feet, on my hands. I mean, whatever.
Pussy
and
in boots.
they do puppet shows and things like that. So yes, thank you for asking.
Yes, I am
alright.
strange.
That's the end of this question. What you got?
All right, how about this? This is a few questions. This will be quick answers here. Do you guys ever go to Utah?
Never been.
No.
By the way, that's where the Flying Elvises are from. Utah chapter.
Flying elves.
Do you like fry sauce?
What is fry sauce?
The
Sounds
hell's that?
good.
I don't know what fry sauce is, but I bet it's awesome.
I like cheese on fries.
Do you like disco fries, cheese, and brown gravy?
That sounds disgusting. I've
Never-
never had that.
Oh no. You're gonna have to come up here and try some disco fries.
That's a
There
str-
are also disco fries that have truffle oil and cheese.
Oh,
man.
my
Chicks dig that so much.
It's got truffle. I like to watch your cholesterol just build so I can see it from the outside. Who's our favorite writer?
Stephen King.
You two guys.
Oh, there you go.
Pam Morris and
Redemption.
Sheridan Bradford.
I mean,
Listen,
Stephen King is definitely one.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't deny that.
he's got to be my number one.
And Robert McCammon's huge with me too.
I'll say so let's talk 8 years of doing Monster Men, and I've gotten to know a lot of the authors that you run with, Hunter. And I will say this, that Brian Moreland and John Jantz have some really great books.
Oh, hell yeah.
Uh,
You're talking new class, and even though we're all old.
yeah, like Moreland, everything Moreland I've read of his, I want to see a movie out of this.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy too.
Um,
They're good people.
And some of the stuff Tim Myers write, I would love to see like a sci-fi movie made out of, like his shark book.
I'm reading his Lords of the Deep right now, and it is a blast.
Nice.
All right, those are all the questions I have. I'm questioned out.
I've got 4 more here
Woo!
that I know of.
We're hitting an hour.
Feels
let's
like
go fast.
class.
How many? Pam is asking, how many zombies would Rob Zombie rob if Rob Zombie could rob zombies? You're trying to kill me with that question. I've had too much beer.
Red leather, yellow leather.
4?
4?
I'm going to go with the bro answer and say 69. I have no idea.
Oh,
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? Woodchuck wood?
I'm going to say 71, which is 69 with 2 fingers in your ass.
I'm gonna say, as Rodney Dangerfield
Carlin.
once, what Rodney Dangerfield said in Back to School, 4.
She also asked, how did we all meet? Which we just answered. And her third question, if you were to become a horror movie host, what would your character's name be and what would he look like?
Ooh.
Damn.
Sergio Fantastico.
How dare you steal that from me?
I stole that from a Hunter book.
Man, I don't know. You know what? I'll just gladly slide right into Svengoolie. I'll just take over his role.
I like the Joe Bob route where you're not like a monster, you're just like a redneck or something, so you don't have to like
Yeah, I
put
pretty
on
much,
so much
Jack,
makeup.
our goal has always been to be the monster men,
Yes.
horror hosts,
Oh, there you go.
fat middle-aged slobs.
Yes, that's it.
I have no idea what character.
She'd be Vampira.
I don't know. My name would be Rumple Foreskin. I don't know what my gag.
Your name would be Aspectio Ratio.
Rumpled foreskin, sitting there, just wearing nothing but like a cup.
There you go. I'm just a wrinkled old man. So yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I've never thought about.
That might be the Guy Elvira, like just in drag.
Guy Vira.
Guy Elvira.
I'm sure the ratings would be huge. Then my wife again. Oh, she can't get enough. Who would be the actual final guy in a movie? I guess she means between the 3 of us. Who could run the furthest before gassing out? Would be the question.
Wow, that's a good question.
I think Hunter would shoot both of us like Shane shot that guy in The Walking Dead to get away from the zombies. Because
Totally.
he's a bastard.
It's every man for himself, man.
Hmm.
Only the good die young.
I do have a shotgun, so that helps me.
I have to get my pistol out of the attic.
Out of the attic.
I would not survive because I'd be like the wacky guy that always gets killed. Like he's making a joke and then
Oh, he was so nice.
I wouldn't make it more than like in a zombie apocalypse because my wife would not let me leave the dogs behind, so I would die trying to load a little yap dog into a car and just alert the horde, and I'd be done before I got out.
I'll tell you, if you watch this Black Summer, there's one guy in particular that I think everybody in the audience, it's like you're watching, it's like, yeah, I wish I'd like to be the Rick Grimes of the thing. And there's this one dude that you're like, yeah, you know what though? I'd probably be this guy. And he's just like the schlub.
See, I worry that I would completely leave my family in the dust and be outside like covered in blood going, this is what I was born to do.
I'll tell you what though, I'd be the
old with
first
a guilty
person
conscience.
I'd be the first person not to go in the basement and to call the cops. So maybe I would make it till the end.
Yeah, exactly. Locking the door, the windows are locked.
Yeah, so not me. That's my answer.
So our vote is
There you
none
go.
of us think that we would make it.
No, totally not.
No, definitely wouldn't. Let's see.
Imagine if
Then-
the witches from Suspiria came after us. I could not dance like that. I'd have cardiac arrest after like 2 minutes.
Our bones would break without them having to cast a spell.
Oh, I'm so brittle. I need more calcium.
Kibby Tums.
Brian Narazano, who does So Bad It's Good With Me, asked, what was your first horror movie you remember watching?
Oh my God.
Oh. I can't tell you a specific one because there were so many midnight or just like creature feature chiller 4:30 movie that I just was watching stuff and I didn't know what it was. You know, it was Dracula, Scars of Dracula, or Dracula, Prince of Darkness, or all those Hammer movies that they showed at midnight or on Channel 5. Or Hunter, you know this. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein was my introduction to the Universal monsters.
I'm trying to think. It was a movie. The one I remember, and this is a very small child. There was a movie with trees, living trees attacking people and carrying women off.
The Wizard of Oz.
It wasn't the day of. It wasn't the
Happening?
day of the Triffids or the Happening.
McDonald Land.
It was some nuclear atomic age movie, black and white, just absolutely terrible. I just remember I thought that was so cool watching trees carry people and kill them.
Treebeard.
The first really scary horror thing I can remember seeing is my dad and my uncle were watching Predator, and they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't let me watch it. I was probably 5, but I was walking in from outside, and I saw the part where Carl Weathers' arm gets shot off,
Right.
and that just like scarred me for years. So I didn't see the whole movie until much later, but I remember that, and I actually remember seeing the remake of Night of the Living Dead, which came out in 90.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that the whole way through on Monster Vision. It's actually something I've talked about in other interviews that really got me into the genre and got me interested in that kind of storytelling and stuff. So it was, I actually saw the remake before the original, but I was pretty young. So yeah, I don't know if either one of those were the first I saw, but those are the two that always pop in my memory as being early on. And then he asked, what was the most influential one for us?
Well,
Behind the Green Door. Right?
Kolchak, big influence in my life. Kolchak, The Night Stalker.
I think it's probably Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead changed my life.
Yeah. The original.
I'm going to say Aliens, the sequel. Just thinking about it, my writing is a lot like that. Very frenetic and fast-paced and violent.
That's very true.
And I saw that when I was pretty young, so I'm going to go with Aliens. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I'm going with.
Whatever. It's right for now.
And Audra, who is finally back, has asked,
Yay, Audra.
will you please let Hunter read from the erotic Bigfoot story?
No.
There's your answer, Audra.
That'll be on our Patreon.
Hunter can do. You could do Patreon.
I started reading stuff on my Patreon page, so maybe I'll do it there.
Do it there.
You start doing that, I'm going to subscribe to it.
All right. This could be a new thing.
Is that it? Are those all the questions?
We're tapped, man.
All right. Now
We have 5 minutes for John Carpenter movies.
it's a good thing this is 100th episode. Here we go. Let's jump into the main feature.
Favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Okay, so we decided to do something. We had no idea, so I just threw this out last week. But we decided to talk about our 5. Do we say best or favorite John Carpenter movies? I went with favorite. Okay, good. That's what I went with. Excluding The Thing, because obviously we would all pick The Thing.
I have
So-
a Thing T-shirt on. So.
Oh, very nice. Where'd you get that? I love that.
I'll talk to you after the show. I'll tell you where I got it.
Okay, that sounds.
Mine's in the
legitimate.
laundry.
All right, Jack, you want to go first? What was your number 5?
Number
Going
5.
backwards? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just
Fifth,
Please
fifth
One, two, three,
favorite,
4, 5.
down to favorite.
Please
I'm gonna
Go
say
to Mars.
Assault on Precinct 13 is my 5th. Number 5. Love that crazy ass movie.
It's a good movie.
I always say that's a vampire movie. Not
Assault
a
on
vampire movie, a
Precinct
zombie
13?
movie. I said vampire.
Oh.
A zombie movie. I've had like half a glass of wine. It's ridiculous.
I wasn't quite getting the vampire thing.
Liver rejection of everything.
Should we talk about them more in depth after we go through the list, or
Just give your piece. If it's on ours,
well,
we'll give our piece.
I'll tell you this. So there's a little girl who gets blown away early in this movie.
Oh,
She's the
yes.
blonde girl from like Escape from Witch Mountain. She was in like all these like Disney movies. and
She
stuff,
was
right?
one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
and
Kim Richards.
Yes, and this
Oh.
movie just is one of these just balls to the wall action, people getting blown away, and tough talking with each other. The blood pact between the bad guys and everything. Just and
Western
the
shoot 'em up.
one of the guys in the who's in the precinct went on to be one of Apollo Creed's trainers in the
Yep.
Rocky movies.
Oh man,
It's just that,
He signed my Blu-ray.
oh nice. That movie's a blast.
Fun fact, now little Kim Richards is in that. Her sister Kyle Richards was Lindsay in Halloween. The little girl
Ooh.
was being babysat. So
I actually have not seen Assault on Precinct 13 since. I don't even know. I've only seen it once.
you know,
Remember
like
really
the Ethan
liking
Hawke version.
it, but no, I don't know if I ever watched that.
It wasn't bad. It was fine.
I must have, but I don't even remember it. Hunter, number 5.
My number 5 is Prince of Darkness.
Oh, that's good.
Which is a different movie if you say it like that, right?
It's very different.
I think we just talked about this maybe a week or two
We
ago.
did.
This is the weird metaphysical John Carpenter movie where underneath this quasi-abandoned church, there is this big tub of green goo, otherwise known as my tummy. And in the green goo is this kind of metaphysical Satan. And they've got these scientists going down there to study it. It's got Donald frickin' Pleasance. It's got the dude with the nice mustache. It's got the
Simon and
Boz.
Simon guy.
It's got all
Alice
you need.
Cooper.
It's got Alice Cooper as a homeless possessed guy.
One of the most effective found footage sequences you'll see. It's when the transmission comes from the future.
In the future, yes.
It's just so well done. I freaking love it. It's my favorite part of the movie.
It's creepy.
Yep.
It's very eerie. So that's a solid 5.
All right. My number 5 is Escape from New York.
Y'all the Duke of New York.
It's
Hey,
not a
number
movie
ones.
I actually revisit all that much anymore.
What?
I don't every couple years, but it's not like The Thing or something like that I always have to watch. I love the movie, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's not one I go back to all the time. But Snake Plissken is so iconic. I mean, people who've never seen the movie recognize a picture of Kurt Russell if you show the Snake Plissken thing. They know who he is. They might not even know his name, but they recognize the image. And he's just so great in it, and it's just I love everything about the movie. It's one of those that when people are like, "Oh, we want to remake it with a bigger budget," I like the idea of a bigger budget, and I hate the idea of everything else.
You can't get that cast back.
You can't do it. You're not gonna catch that lightning in a bottle. So let it go. Kurt Russell's the man.
Adrian Barbeau won't look the same.
This de-aging stuff's looking pretty good, man.
This is true. I have like a Kurt Russell Snake Plissken shirt, but I've always wanted like an Ernest Borgnine shirt. Like Fright Rag should put out like an Ernest Borgnine section. I would so buy that.
That would be pretty funny. I'd like that. So, Escape from New York, number 5. Jack.
Nice.
This was tough, but I'm going to put number 4, The Fog.
All right.
And I'm going to say I saw that in the theater. and every once in a while I revisit it, and I always have a blast with it. And we talked about this not too long ago,
Yep.
and I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I really enjoyed it.
You liked it more revisiting now than you remembered, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. When I first saw it, I wasn't that crazy about it. Same thing with the Prince of Darkness. I wasn't that crazy about it when I first saw it. When I revisited it, I liked it better.
Mhm.
And the fog has grown on me. But I'm going to tell you this: there's like John Carpenter, like a few movies that I really love, and then there's a bunch of movies that I think are pretty good, and then a bunch of movies that I don't give a crap about. So I do not hold the John Carpenter catalog in high esteem. I hold a few of his movies as some of my favorite of all time, and then everything else is just kind of there. So The Fog is one of the ones that I will watch the most and go back to and have a good time with.
The opening sequence in The Fog with John Houseman telling the tale on the beach, it's one of my favorite beginnings of any movie in any genre.
And the visuals of those pirates with the glowing cross and all the glowing eyes and everything like that is awesome.
I'm the same way. I liked The Fog. I wasn't in love with it, but when we revisited it, I think it was last year, I thought it was so much better than I remembered. And that's actually been a lot of John Carpenter's work for me. I liked it when I first saw it, and then 10 years later I revisited it, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? This is great. So, yeah, The Fog, 100% with me. I'm the same way with you as you are. Hunter.
All right. My number 4 was Jack's number 5, Assault on Precinct 13. I love, you know what? I grew up a lot with Westerns, so that reminded me a lot of this. My grandpa would say, that's the shoot 'em ups.
Mm-hmm.
You'd either say you're going to watch the ponies or you're going to watch the shoot 'em ups. And you'd be like, what the? Oh, yeah, Westerns.
The uneasy alliance between the cop and the criminal.
Yeah, that's a Macho Man movie too. The woman who's in that movie, she's the one that is helping out to the very end, is gorgeous. She did not do many movies, which is a shame for all of us. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but someone will tell me in the chat. But that's a solid 4 for me, and I have my Blu-ray autographed by a few people from that movie.
Impressive.
Nice.
It's treasured.
Let me add that apparently Sheridan got the drinking rules right, because we just exploded to like 40 drinks as soon as we started this discussion.
Here it goes.
So I was keeping up, but it ain't happening now.
No.
So
Laurie Zimmer. I think you're right, Sheridan.
Okay.
Never mind.
My number 4, I would be willing to bet isn't on your list. In the Mouth of Madness. No?
It's not on my list.
It's on the bottom of my Blu-ray pile.
This is a movie that in the last 10 years went from I didn't care to watch it again from seeing it the first time to I absolutely freaking love it. It's my favorite Lovecraft type movie. Every time I watch it, I pick up more and more stuff. And I love this movie. All the practical effects and the weird. It starts out as kind of a mystery with a horror tinge, and then it just gets bonkers by the end. And I freaking love it. And it's actually one my wife and I have been revisiting quite a bit over the last few years, just because I dig it. It was in that 90s phase of his work that I didn't love when I was younger.
Where the sizzle is starting to fizzle.
But now I'm going back and I'm starting to appreciate it. I'm thinking, man, should I go back and watch Village of the Damned again? Like, am I missing something there too?
So I need to rewatch. I need to watch this again. Is that what you're saying?
I saw Village of the Damned once.
Yeah, I've only seen it once too. But if you haven't seen In the Mouth of Madness recently, check it out. I guarantee
I rewatched it.
You did?
I rewatched it a year or two ago, and I just thought it was okay. That movie doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, I bought it like 2-3 years ago, and I was like, okay. In the bottom you go.
I love it. Love that movie. All right, Jack.
Number 3 is Escape from New York. And I'll echo you a little bit because I think the entirety of the movie isn't as good as Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken.
Yep.
That's really what you're watching. He's just such a badass, and the way he delivers his lines and the characters around him. It's like an okay movie with such a great cast and such a tremendous star that I just watched that movie to watch Kurt Russell being Snake Plissken. And so if you said to me, hey, want to watch Escape from New York? Oh, absolutely. Pop it on. And he's the man.
I only watch it for Lee Van Cleef and Isaac Hayes.
Think about it, though. Those guys are in that movie. You got Pleasance, Adrian Barbeau.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton. There's so many great people, but when it gets down to it, when you think of Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken's got to be the first thing that comes to mind.
And by the way, Donald Pleasance is one of the biggest pusstards of all time to ever play a president. Oh my God. Really deserved to die.
He did.
Imagine Trump in that scenario.
Oh, gee. New York is going to be huge again. We're going to, oh, wait, we already built the wall. I want to get over the wall.
Do the A number one line. With
You're the Duke of New York. A number one.
The best. Gonna make New York great again.
Give me your number 3.
Build a wall. Oddly enough, my number 3. My number 3 is Escape from New York.
What can we say about this movie that hasn't been said already?
Seriously, for my top 5 list, I was going to put Escape from LA, Ghosts of Mars, Body Bags.
I don't think I've ever seen Ghosts of Mars all the way through.
I was going to make number 1 my Someone's Watching Over Me, which is actually a very good movie. It's a TV movie.
I actually just got a copy of that recently, and I haven't watched it yet.
It's really good. But I think that was his movie he did. It's got Lauren Hutton, and Adrienne Barbeau and Charles Cyphers. It's got like his gang.
What more can be said?
Exactly.
Okay, my number 3 is They Live. I freaking adore this movie. It struggles under its lack of budget at times, particularly in the third act.
And a main actor who cannot act.
You will shut your mouth when you're talking about Rowdy Roddy.
My favorite wrestler of all time.
Mouth, or I will come over there.
Maybe not my favorite.
He is killer in this movie. He barely speaks. There's not much to screw up.
Thank God.
He's on a lot of roids, and that mane he has is flowing the entire time. It's beautiful.
It's resplendent in its mulletness.
This movie kind of came when Carpenter decided he was done doing studio movies for a while, and like I said, its budget isn't great, but the idea is so perfect. And I would argue that from the time he finds the sunglasses until he hooks up with God, what's her name? With the eyes. Why is my brain not working?
Oh, Hunter, that's your girl.
Oh God, Evil Lynn.
Yes, Evil Lynn.
Why can't I think of her freaking name?
This is sad.
Ah.
I can't think of her name either.
I only have a freaking beer and a half in me. Anyway, from the whole time he's in the city and he's seeing everything and he starts shooting up the cops and shooting up the bank, that sequence is so perfect. It's one of the best things he's done. It's only maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It's not long, but it is so well done.
Meg Foster.
Thank you. That was pathetic.
Evil Lynn.
Yeah. And the fight scene alone. I mean, I don't know how many times my roommates from college will come visit and we're like, let's put on the They Live fight scene. It's the best. So it's just
you can put that, do a double feature with that and Peter Griffin fighting a chicken.
Oh yeah. And South Park did a great take up on the They Live fight scene. Did you ever see it?
No. Oh, I got the YouTube.
Blow for blow from They Live. And it's between the 2 crippled kids in the show. So
oh my God.
It's brilliant. You gotta look it up.
I gotta buy that movie. I really do like that movie. I never owned it, and either as a VHS or a DVD. So
it's a gem. It's a real gem.
Time for the Blu-ray.
Jack.
My number 2 is They Live. So let's just keep it going. Thanks for stealing all my lines.
Why don't you chew some bubble gum?
Who is that? David Keith or Keith David? What's his name?
Keith David.
Keith David, who has not aged a freaking day in 35 years.
And he's got the greatest voice in the business. Piper is an American treasure and is awesome. And his line about bubblegum in the bank is the best line ever. And I thoroughly enjoy watching that movie every time I see it. And it's, yes, the special effects, there's no budget. When the little hole in the floor happens and they jump into it and all that. But I just thoroughly enjoy that movie every single time I watch it. And Piper is the perfect guy to lead that movie. It's just a schmaltzy cheese fest, but what a blast. And It's oh my god, it's the most fun, and I have a blast with it every time I watch it. Piper's my favorite wrestler too,
Oh
and
yeah.
just watching him in this, and seriously, that fight is just the greatest thing ever filmed. Oh my god.
When he hit Jimmy Superfly Snooker in the head with the coconuts at Piper's Corner,
Oh, or he shot Morton Downey Jr. with the fire extinguisher.
he was bananas.
He's
And
awesome.
by the way, if you want to make a movie and have a bunch of subtext in it, but not have it overtake your movie and ruin the freaking story, They Live is how you do it.
That's a good idea.
That movie's more relevant now than ever.
Yeah, exactly. But you can just watch and think, oh, this is a cheesy, fun sci-fi movie. And he had put all this subtext in it and it doesn't ruin anything.
How many like millennials out there know the obey sign and have no idea what that's referencing?
All of them.
My kids know it's on every wall.
Hunter, what you got?
All right. My number two is.
Oh my god, you guys are you're aliens.
You should look, and we all look like the Martians from Mars Attacks. My number two is The Fog, which, unlike you guys, I loved this movie when I saw it in the theater. Loved. Here's why you should see it. Other than things we've already said, here's why you should see it. Jamie Lee Curtis, whore, hitchhiker. Tom Atkins, coxman. The consummate coxman. This is where maybe he got his reputation. It's like, yeah.
He does pick up a much younger, beautiful woman very easily.
I'm like 45. I'm going to pick her up in my Sanford and Son pickup truck, and I am going to bang the living daylights out of her within 2 hours. And then we're going to investigate a murder for the rest of the time. And she's not going to leave me. Like, this girl should have left. She could have walked away right away as soon as the windows explode. But she stays with him because she wants more of that fry sauce that he's got.
Once you go Atkins, you never go Backins.
All meat, no carbs, baby.
Fry sauce.
Do you think he does that with groupies? He calls himself the Atkins diet.
Nice. Oh, like it.
All meat.
Boy, there's an angle no one's ever taken on that movie.
Are you done?
I'm done.
All right. My number two is Halloween.
Only number. I can't wait to see what your number one is.
I know what his number one is.
Halloween is. I mean, what more? I don't know how many freaking episodes we've even mentioned it in. I mean, it's an all-time classic. That and Black Christmas started this whole craze we had with the slashers. It's masterful. It's cheaply made. It works perfectly. Michael Myers is the best. It's a great movie. It's. My only concern with it even anymore is just that I wonder if it's getting to that age where younger people aren't going to freaking watch it because it's old and it would be horrible. I mean, when it came out, 78?
Yeah, 78, 77.
So it's getting up there, but God, it's getting so good.
Well, my number one is Halloween, and shocking. I love this movie. I've always loved this movie, but I don't know how many years ago. Let's say 10 years ago, something like that. It came back, and I saw it in the theater, and I just had a moment where I was like, "Yeah, I've always liked this movie a lot, but I just be on the big screen with no distractions or anything." Because I've seen that movie so many times in a group with a lot of people. Let's rent a movie. Let's get Halloween. And just watching it like with really paying attention to it and just going, wow, this movie is just really brilliant. They just did things and they made like the scenes during the day are terrifying. You know, when you see Michael Myers stalking her, it's just so well done. There's so much right about that movie that, like I said, The Thing and Halloween are two of my all-time favorite horror movies. And then there's everything else Carpenter did. Because I just think that these two movies are so much above anything else he ever did.
Upper echelon.
And I just, whether you're a newbie or a veteran, I'm like, Halloween's got to be, it's a must see TV.
How about that freaking score? I mean,
yeah.
It shows you as simple as sometimes all you need.
Yep. Even these, I was just saying, I'm afraid people are going to stop watching because it's getting old. They're still going to recognize that music, even if they've never seen it. It's just so iconic.
Yep, especially when I'm sneaking up behind him.
What's yours?
Well, good shock. What he said, Halloween. Totally. I watch it every October. I have to watch it. Every October, I have to watch that. I have to watch The Fog. Those are like my two I don't necessarily always watch The Thing because I worry that if I watch it too much, I'll tire of it. I don't know. It's weird. So The Thing, I alternate years, but The Fog and Halloween, it's just always constant.
The Thing doesn't have to be a Halloween movie, whereas Halloween really fits the season.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I like to watch The Thing when it's, believe it or not, cold outside.
Yeah.
Why?
Like you should want to watch it when it's hot out. And you're like, oh, all right, maybe I won't be sweating so much. But yeah, there's nothing I don't love about The Thing, about Halloween. So
It's crazy. I mean, you see so much of what's in that movie leak into modern stuff, and people don't even know where it comes from. You're talking about wrestling. Remember when the Undertaker would just sit up? That's just Michael
Yes.
Myers from Halloween. That's all that
popping
is.
up. Yep.
And people have no idea where some of this stuff came from. It's all from that movie because it was just so ahead of its time. It's unbelievable. Okay.
I know what your number one is. I'm not going to say
So do
it,
I.
but
So do
I
I.
figured it out.
It's not hard. You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this? It's got to be my man, Kurt Russell. I freaking love Big Trouble in Little China. It's another one of those movies that I really liked when I was younger, and then I saw it again probably later in high school. And it was the first time it clicked how freaking genius that movie was. And I don't know how many times I've seen it now, probably freaking 50. And every time I see it, I laugh harder and harder at how preposterous and ridiculous and hilarious that movie is. To the point where I think Jack Burton might be the best character I've ever seen in a movie. He is so terrible at everything in it. He's not even the hero. Wang, his sidekick, is the hero.
Right.
He beats everyone up. Jack Burton doesn't do shit the whole
Like
movie.
the Green Hornet.
Yes.
Kinda like us.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. The one-liners that he spews through the whole movie are great, but even the little bits of dialogue of all the side characters, and nobody has a character arc in the whole movie. You think Jack Burton is going to, and at the end, he's even more of an idiot than he was at the beginning. And he just leaves the woman and goes and drives in his truck and spews one-liners into the mic. Or into the CB. It's a work of art. If you like cheesy movies, Asian send-ups, not send-ups, it is a send-up of Asian movies.
Steve Barnard.
Yeah, it does just a good job of lampooning a bunch of movies and elevating them at the same time. And I love it. And I'm glad, like a lot of Carpenter stuff, it bombed at the box office and has gotten a big resurgence later in its life. So if you haven't seen it in a while, you got to watch it.
You're going to hate me for this. I saw it one time when it came out.
Oh, you got to rewatch it.
I have not seen it since.
I've seen it twice. I watched it like 2 years ago. And while I like Kurt Russell in it, it doesn't do much for me. So maybe
boy.
Hunter, maybe we'll pop that in next time I come over.
I think you're going to have to rewatch this. If our love loves it, now we have to try to love it too.
He tries to break into a building by pretending he's the phone company, but he's still wearing the sleeveless shirt and he's just holding a rotary phone yelling phone company. It's brilliant.
That could work, right?
He's basically John Wayne if John Wayne couldn't do anything and had fetal alcohol syndrome. It's basically the Jack Burton character. It's the best.
Oh, that's so funny.
If you want to know, honestly, that character is a big inspiration for my Asher Benson character in one of my series. Except Asher Benson actually gets things accomplished. So
he does. He's not completely inept.
So yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. I've been trying to spread the word for a long time, and most people think I'm crazy till I chain them down to the chair and then make them watch it.
And now there's a sequel with The Rock in the works.
I was pretty upset when they said it was going to be a remake, but now they're saying a sequel. I'm fine with that. Totally fine. We'll see. I don't know. If you don't have Jack Burton in it, I'm not that interested.
Maybe they'll have Burt Jackson.
Burt Jackson. So I did have one thing I wanted to ask you guys, and then we'll get the hell out of here finally.
Yeah.
I can see what Jack's going to say now, but where do you guys put John Carpenter in the hierarchy of horror directors? I'll start. To me, he's one of the top two. I for my taste, he's my favorite. The the second being Wes Craven. I think the two of them have had so many movies that were impactful and influential over the years. Whereas, you have like Tobe Hooper, who had like one crazy movie that inspired everything, and then some good ones, which is kind of what I think what you were saying about your opinion of Carpenter was. But I actually think Carpenter is probably my favorite horror director ever.
Ooh, Carpenter's my favorite simply because he is the man who created all the movies that were like my teenage years, right?
Yep.
All my first loves of a bunch of things came from John Carpenter. So there's a nostalgia piece to it, but also now watching it as an older man, I still love these movies for what they are. So they weren't just something like, there were some movies I watched, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that was good back then. But his movies are still great. The person I would put as number 2 with him would be James Whale, who gave us Frankenstein and The Old Dark House, The Invisible Man, Bride
like,
of Frankenstein. I know, yeah. James Whale was an absolute genius. He didn't do a whole lot of movies, especially at a time when directors would pump out 3-4 movies a year. But he's number 2 because, again, his movies define my super youth, and then I moved on to John Carpenter, and now maybe it's going to be Flanagan will be the new one.
He's climbing the list fast. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to really Google horror directors and take a look at the works of everybody to come up with a definitive list. Because, like you're saying, there's older guys that have made their mark on this, and like a guy like
Alan
John
Smithy.
Like I was just thinking about John Landis. Outside of horror, John Landis has made some of my favorite movies, including American Werewolf from London. But his portfolio with the Blues Brothers and a bunch of other stuff that he's done.
Oh yeah. Carpenter's not my favorite director, just horror.
So horror, Carpenter definitely has a place in the Hall of Fame, and he's like Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio level guy. Look, if we just took our 2 favorite movies in general here, the Halloween and The Thing, if that's all he ever did, he's earned it. But then he's got a catalog that supports it. Wes Craven as well, and whether you like all their movies or not, their impact. We'll talk about what's his name, Tom Savini. These 2 guys, their impact on the industry has been unbelievable. So actually, probably Wes Craven and John Carpenter would be the 2 guys you could point to, with Tom Savini as who had the biggest influence on the genre. Would probably be those 2 guys.
No, I agree. I mean, the reason I was thinking Wes Craven is, that guy changed the genre how many freaking times,
Yeah.
So
he had a longer career, and if you go from Last House on the Left all the way to Scream, his like Carpenter had like 13, maybe 12, 13 just incredible years of output.
Yep. And when I was looking at his list of, trying to figure out my 5, I was like, oh God, I forgot he did Christine, and Starman's in there. And it's like, Jesus, I forgot all these movies. Not that they're, my favorites, but they're decent movies,
He did Vampires, which
James Woods is
I read the book. I read the book Vampires and loved it and thought it would make such a great movie. And he changed so much of it that it pissed me off so much that I'm like, oh, there's certain parts of this movie that are brilliant, but James Woods was the worst casting for that character.
It was weird.
I love that movie because James Woods is so out of control. I mean, at one point he cuts the priest's hand. He's like, does that get you hard, Father? Or whatever. Yeah. What is this movie?
I can't tell you how many times I said that as a kid, as an older boy.
I bet you did. That's a good place to end.
That's why I'm Buddhist.
Gentlemen, 100 episodes. It's been an honor. Here's to another
100. What? When we get to 200, I'm going to have more wine. This was not enough, and there was too much going on. I couldn't duck out as usual. I have peed all over myself, but whatever. It's for you guys. It's for the fans.
And let's give a shout out to the fools in the chat room who show up every week and put up with us. Thanks, everybody. You're part of the family, and we appreciate all your support.
That's right.
Sláinte. You guys freaking kill us in the chat with your insane dialogue, so it's great. And
but also they fact check us, so that's good too.
Actually, yeah, they do save us a lot. I saw Meg Foster pop up in there too, so I don't know. Maybe for 200, we'll have to actually meet. Maybe that'll be our first meeting in a bar or something, and it can end in a fist fight or something.
That could be the last episode.
You son of a bitch! I hate Mother.
That'll be it. 200 is Mother Revisited.
Yes, baby. Live viewing
I'd
party.
be like, you know what? On second thought, I love this movie.
Yeah, me and Jason be like, wow, this movie
Oh,
sucks.
this is a piece of shit. Are you kidding me? The whole thing's subtext. There's no.
By that time, be like, wow, Jennifer Lawrence was so young in that movie.
Yeah, really.
All right. It was a good one. I had fun with this.
Yeah.
The questions were great. So we have no idea what we're doing next week. We're still trying to hash it out.
Whatever. We'll figure it out.
So follow us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever, and we'll let you know.
But remember, take the link to the show at finalguys.com, tweet it out with the hashtag FG100, and you could win a book.
Oh, yeah. I forgot what the contest was.
See, good thing I remembered.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you.
See you for the next 100.